do you all think it's a bad thing to put pricing on website?
Well, let's ask Julio. Julio, what do you think, Julio, about pricing on the website?
Shoot. To be honest with you, I mean, I don't feel like it's a bad thing. I feel like sometimes every job's a little different. Um, I mean, when you go to some jobs, some prices can be different than other jobs because sometimes you got to like count into like the weight and then what you get out from cabinets, or if you have to walk farther distance, things
Hmm.
like that. So I mean, everything could come into like the table.
Maybe exposing your prices to competition.
Oh, I mean, I, how do I say? I mean,
It's
I,
hard.
I
It's
never
a
really
gray
thought
area.
about it like that, to be honest with you, because we already have our set price. I mean, we don't. I mean,
Yeah,
everything's kind of different when it comes to the jobs.
yeah, yeah.
I
See,
mean,
that's where it gets, you got to decide where you're going as a future as far as junk removal. If you're looking to stay on a truck, then I think it's like okay, so to say, to just kind of freestyle it and kind of go with there and not set the prices. But I think if you're taking it seriously and you're trying to scale and you're trying to become a professional business, I think that is something that you have to let known. I think you have to have a set price list for people to take you seriously. Now,
Hmm.
do you put it on the website? That's something that I'm curious to hear what other people would do with that. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if that is the right way because just like you said, man, you got the competition and all that, and I don't know. What's
Well,
your thoughts on that?
my opinion is that it might help you. So when clients call you already, they already know your price. They already say, "Hey, I seen your website. I seen you charge this much for your full load. I need a full load. I have a garage clean out, and I definitely know it's going to be a full load. And then I know you charge this, but it's probably going to be three of those loads." Then you can say, well, when I get there, we can negotiate that. We offer multi load discounts, veterans discounts. See, then you can, but it might be a little easier for them
yeah,
if you put your price on the website because people are gonna shop around, right? But then when they see your situation, you got prices already on.
so they'll see it.
How does that? He has a good example right here. JP Holling says, "You're not going to charge a quarter on a curb the same you charge a quarter you have to walk 5 minutes to pile." So how does like 1-800 junk handle that situation?
Oh,
Uh,
they're priceless. They come in with a price list. They have a
yeah,
price sheet.
No, I understand that, but like now, like he's saying, a quarter of it's on the quarter load is on the curb. The other another quarter load is it takes a couple minutes to walk to. So I think what they do have on their price list, this is me guessing right now, is like if it's 50 feet or 100 feet, they add $50 surcharge
Yeah, yeah.
per hour. So I think
Hmm.
that might be how they handle that situation. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, I think you're probably accurate, but I think the more you get into it and the more you know the language of junk removal, that when you go in there and you tell them, okay, well, I charge this for the curbside pickup, but then you have some stuff in the backyard, I got to charge you a little bit extra because now I got to go on the property. Because that's
Let
what I
me ask you
tell.
this, man. This you just hit me on this one. So, all right, we got a mattress. I'm just don't worry about the item. We got an item that is on the curb. We got the same item that is in the backyard. What is the discount percentage wise for it being on the curb that you would give? You know, like say somebody's tight on their budget and you're trying to help them out and be like, all right, if you bring it to the curb, this is what I could do it. What's that percentage?
You want to say, Julio, or you want me to speak on it?
that's. I mean, go ahead, because that's kind of
Okay.
a little bit.
So basically, again, with the options, I give the client the option. If I know and I talk to the client and I can see that, money or whatever is the type of situation, I say, hey, we can save money. If I save time, you save money. If you bring everything out to the curb and have everything on the side of the house or in front of the house, and I could just pick it up, I'm going to give you this price. But I have to come there and see it in person. But if you bring everything outside, that saves me time that I have to go in the house and I got to charge you a different price as soon as I come onto the property
Yeah, I like
because
that.
because there's a lot of liability, especially when you go into apartments. When you go into apartments, if you use that factor, they start to think about it, yeah, because management is an asshole here because we can't dump nothing in the freaking in the dumpster in the back. It's already overfilled. But that's why I tell a lot of people in apartment complexes, in senior citizen homes, if I have to come into the unit, it's a little bit more because there's a high risk of
Liability.
damage, that
Yep.
liability that costs me. But if you bring everything outside, you'll save a lot more money. And that's when you give your clients options and, give them that menu. And the Julio knows about that. You know what I mean? They're not Julio and Matt. They're not leaving the job until you know what I mean. What's it going to take? Okay, okay. Well, how about this? We just take all the big stuff for today, and you could throw all the small stuff in the garbage can.
See, you
Uh,
brought up something good right here, and a good conversation piece, because Matt is the contrary to what we're talking about, and he's actually, I believe, he teaches in his way is never hit them with the price. Like there's no set pricing. Everyone,
mhm,
he's gonna freestyle and feel it out on
mhm.
the spot. Because you can make extra on some, you can make less on
Of
others. You'll
course,
go
of
by the
course.
feeling of that. But yes, you're saying of course, but when does that end? Is it when you're off the truck? And then now you go to the set pricing, because it seems like it's very frowned upon if you don't go to the set pricing when you scale.
I think you have to teach your help that, as Julio has been taught the secrets. Julio has been taught not secrets but the recipe. Sonoma Strong's recipe, and you have to be taught that. And you know what I mean. Don't create bad habits by doing those crackhead prices. Like Matt said, every job is
Yeah.
different. But once you lay that price on the website, you got to stick to your guns.
Yeah.
And to me, when you lay a price on a website, that's more corporate because every job is different. If
Yeah.
someone says I got a hot tub to be removed, if someone calls me and say, "Hey, Mister Yee, I need a hot tub removed, but I already took it out. It's laying on the side of my house. You could just pick it up and go." That's a whole different price.
Yeah. Yeah.
You're saving me time. I don't got to use a blade. I don't got to even hire my two other Yees. And then they say, "Hey, I'll even help you load it." That's all different. You can't put that on a website. You can't put that on a price sheet
Now,
like,
now
"Oh,
would you let somebody help at all? Would you ever let a
absolutely." I,
customer?
I
Yes.
love when
Wow.
customers help me load because now I always ask customers, send me a picture so I can get an idea of what's going on if I need help. Because, and then sometimes they tell me, no, 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 me and my son will help you load it. Boom. I just made a couple $100 in 10 minutes and they helped me load it.
But
I walked out.
when does see these are the things I want to get in, bro. When this leads to other great conversation is, when does that end?
And,
What part of the business do you say I don't do that no more, and that we scale, because now you're putting other liabilities involved with what happens if somebody gets hurt out of them?
well, that's when you have to tell people, you're helping me load it. You're on your own liability. You're on your
Yeah, but
own.
you
This is
can't. Yeah, unless they're signing something, bro. That don't mean shit,
well,
dude.
well, well. A lot of times, if someone gets hurt on their property loading it, that's kind of on them. They're not going to go
Yeah.
sue you, especially if they
I
did
don't
it.
know the story to that. That's something that we definitely would want to talk with a lawyer about, man, because that is a dicey situation. And
Yeah,
I'm wondering why, like a 1-800 junk, that would never be allowed, bro. They would never let a customer
I
touch
think
anything
I
from
think they
the
set prices like that because they have a high volume of come and go employees. So if everybody was to go and set their own price, they would say, okay, go here and go do this job. Give them that price when you see them in person. And they would go there and say, hey, okay, the job for this price is this price. But then they reported it on the paperwork, maybe a different price. So that's why I think the corporate jobs like McDonald's, all these other places, they have one price.
Yeah.
You can't go there and be like, I'll pay $1 for that hamburger. No, it's a certain price and that's it. But now, when we are the smaller businesses, when we are the family owned local businesses, we can do that. We can go there and adjust the price and say, hey, I adjusted this price based on this job. That's how
Sarah
I
says
adjust.
something good here that I want to.
Julio,
Sarah says having a base
knowledge.
price is a good idea, but jobs vary case by case. If things are on the third floor with no elevator, then getting the things to the truck plus labor is going to be more. 100%. But
Yeah.
we were just trying to talk about how 1-800 Junk would handle that, and the way would be with the upcharges. So they have written out, 50 feet, set of stairs, adds on
Mhm.
$50 extra upcharge and all that.
And you can learn from that because you can also do that yourself and say, hey, but this is what I charge for that. If I have to go in an elevator, this is what I charge because it takes me a lot more time to wait for the elevator.
Yeah.
But you have to learn that language. The more you interact with clients, the more you're comfortable, you're going to be able to go there and like hypnotize them with that snake with the cobra, with that pipe. And you're going to be the piper
You know what
controlling that
you know who
cobra.
I want to hear right now, bro? I want to hear Kevin Hess right now, because what I would think that he would start saying right now is something with commissions, adding on those extra bonuses and all
Yeah.
those little
Yeah.
things. Like, if you go and close a job at this, you're getting this certain percentage. If you get this upcharge, you get this certain percentage. If you get a review at the end of it, you get $25 bonus and all. I think those make the employee, because we were all discussing earlier in there, how do you find the right characteristics and the right employees? I think doing things like that, you're going to come across the right employee that understands. He has all these opportunities to make an extra $25 each job just on getting the review. So the second he gets there, he is on best behavior. He's doing everything he's supposed to. He's doing the Kevin Hess training where he's putting in their head right away. I want to deliver 5-star, experience
I
right
want to make
now.
more money. I want to make
And
more money on the job because I'm
yes,
paid. He thinks I'm paid hourly. I am, but I also make a commission if I upsell. I upsell. So you can also teach your helpers that. You can also
skin
teach
in
your
the
helpers,
game, baby.
but you have to find that right employee that's willing to learn and listen. Sometimes, we get these employees and, how's everything going? Good. Oh, you stayed up all fucking night playing video games and you're coming on the fucking truck and you're tired and you're sleeping in the front seats while I'm doing all the fucking driving.
Hold on, bro. There's a couple people that are saying what I'm saying right now to you, man. It's the other side. So we're putting the
Okay.
line in the sand right now with you. So Pride and Service says they hire us to do the job. I tell them to sit back and enjoy themselves. Now, when they hire me, the first thing I say is, because a lot of people will ask, like you're saying, and I'll be like, hey, you did the right thing. You called me. Now sit back and forget about it. And they get the little chuckle and all that.
Yeah.
Here's the next one. JP says, what's the difference of them helping load it or them loading it themselves when they rent dumpster or trailer?
Because someone who calls you is not going to load it themselves. They can afford to call you.
Yeah.
That's why they're going to
This
do
is
it.
a luxury
This is a
service.
luxury service. They wouldn't be calling you if they can't afford to at least get what they want and help to save money. But a lot of times when we get that call, they already know they're going to pay.
I want to say this, amen with this, Sarah. I agree, because there is like thinking like that. There's two sides, and one of them being Mad Vic that says, not every customer is your customer. Where Kevin would always correct him and say, no, you need to make every customer into your credit. I'm with you, Sarah. Now that I've been going from the 4 months and living near some of the areas that I'm in, like some examples would be Santa Rosa and everything. And you go there and they're going to show you probably 2 full loads of stuff. And then they come in, they're like, I'll give them the price. And then you can see the shock and you're like, and then I'm like, well, what were you expecting? What was the price that you had in your mind? $50. And you're just like, yo, there's nothing to save here. There's nothing I can say after this. You're not in reality. It's more money to dump this stuff than $50. So if anybody takes that $50 from you and takes your garbage away, it's going down the block on the side of the road illegally. You know what I mean? So I 100%, because before that I was like, I think Kevin's right on this. I'm going to try saving every interaction. I want to make it. But then when you get there and you get some calls like that and you're there and there's just, what are you supposed to do? You know what I mean? When they just said $50 and I'm like thinking, well, maybe I could get one item and they're not even in reality.
Well,
It's
it's
not my
just
customer.
sometimes you want to be that annoying Kirby salesman who's selling those vacuums and he's not leaving that house until he sells a unit. And if I can leave this house with at least $200, well, how about I take that big ass sofa for you? How about I take that big old dresser for you? How about I take this for you? I'll do all that $200, whatever. At least you got that $200 for less than a half an hour work, and you got your gas money, and you paid for your waste of a time. And
No,
you'd be
yeah, but
surprised.
that's cool. That's what
Yeah.
we normally do. But when you're at a crack house, brother, and you're starting to talk,
Mhm.
there's no way. I mean, and you
Paul, that's part of this business.
that's
That's what this
yep,
business is. Half of this business is people wasting our time
yep,
and calling us and just like, the fuck you calling me for?
yeah,
But that's just part of it. Imagine how many calls Home Depot gets every day. How many calls Lowe's gets every day for the stupidest shit.
yeah. But
And then Lowe's, and then
sometimes I'm in shock though, and like I'm
yeah, of
curious
course.
when I ask them, what they think the price would it be, and then you could see them thinking in their head, and they didn't even know, they never thought that question out. They just wanted something so ridiculously cheap, and they're saying to themselves, "Well, this is all garbage I don't want, so this person's just going to come over here and he's going to take it away for $20, this whole truckload of stuff." You know
And
what I mean? It's garbage.
I'm pretty sure Julio knows this. Sometimes when we pull up to people's houses and we see who they are, we already know. We already know. Like, I think he's
Oh,
on
my
mute.
bad, my bad. It
Man,
was.
what's wrong with you over here?
Like
Yeah.
like you guys are saying though, this is like a week ago when I went to a property. It's over there by Dutton. And as soon as I pulled up to the property, I could see they had a whole bunch of stuff in the front of the house. And then I was like, oh shit, okay. I was like, all right. And then as soon as I got there, I was like, I mean, you can kind of already tell, like you're saying, when you walk into a customer's like property, you're like, you can kind of tell they're already like not gonna go with the price. And it wasn't her; it was her sister that was there, so she wasn't even there. So
Yeah.
I
Oh,
told
I'm
her like
dying
how
right
much it
now.
might be. It might be like a full load, 2 or 3 loads, and
I
I told her that we charge more for like mattresses and refrigerators and stuff. And she looks at me, she's like, "How much is the price?" So I told the price, and she's like, and I'm like, "Yeah, you guys have like at least 10 mattresses here. We charge $50 per mattress, and then you got like the AC units and whatever. We charge 50 or $60 for those in the refrigerator." And I was like, "You guys have that too?" And I was like, "Well," she looks at me like, "Oh wow, like okay, we'll give you a call." And we never heard back from them, but like Sarah was saying, not every customer is your customer, because you could go to like jobs and you might be like, "Oh, I might have that job," but you look at customers and you see their
bro, I
face,
just want to
you
just
know.
I went to the same house, and that was the example I was just giving you with the
The crackhead,
$50, and I
crackhead.
can't
Yeah,
believe you just said that, bro. I'm
You
laughing
see,
my
you
ass
see,
off
you
right
yeah, they're
now.
see.
just looking at you like,
They
looking
didn't even
like
get the
what?
job.
Yep,
They
yep.
didn't even get the job. You
No,
didn't
I
get
don't
the
feel
job.
bad, bro. I don't feel okay.
No, no.
Yeah, they're looking at you like, "Oh, you're crazy." Like that's hell. Like
Yeah.
they're looking at you like, "What? What? How much is
Yeah.
it?" And then I'm like, "Okay." And then they're just like, "Well, we'll give you a call." And then sometimes you never hear from those customers again.
No.
But,
It's
I mean,
just
certain areas you already know like where you might get jobs and where you might not. I mean, it's kind of bad to say that, but
But
I mean,
I got to say the opposite on that as well, bro. There's been times where I've thought there's no way this is not happening. There's no way there's money here that they could afford this, and then you're surprised and you're like, oh wow, and then they'll even leave a great tip on top, and you're like,
that's
holy shit, So that
yeah,
I've seen the both extremes as well,
it goes.
sometimes the middle class in this business is the best
The
class.
best.
Yeah,
Who
They
just
they
who
take
just
care of you the best.
they work hard and they know what hard work is.
Yep.
And they can afford it. It may not be the biggest pickup, but they can afford it. Like, okay. And that's just we go to the high-end clients sometimes, and they're the most rudest. They don't even tip you nothing. Like, okay, I'm not. Blah, 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 blah. It's just part of this business that you really have to have alligator skin and just okay, next.
yeah, you're right, because I mean, there's properties though, like you're saying, Paul, where we've gone to, and they might not be like you're saying. You might think, oh, they might not go with it. And they go with it, and like you're saying, they give us a fat tip, and you're looking at them like, wow.
Wow, didn't
And a
expect that.
review.
Didn't see that
And a
Yeah, I
coming.
mean,
review.
some customers are different. Not every customer is like that, but there's just every customer is a little different. There's some
Yeah.
might get those, like you're saying, those middle class that are like, oh, we're gonna tip you fatter, and then you get the ones
Mm-hmm.
that have money that won't tip you at all. It
Mm-hmm.
just
So
depends.
Julio, on your tip machine that you guys use,
Yeah.
what's the average on a tip? I mean, not the price, but the average conversion of you getting a tip.
Percentage wise, right? Because it's on
Percentage, yeah.
percentage.
Dude, to be honest,
Like out of 10 jobs, how many tips you think you're going to get out of 10 jobs?
so we probably lock in maybe 5 out of 5. Sometimes if we get
That's half.
lucky,
Yeah, that's
maybe
half.
six or
Yeah.
seven out of that we get.
Yeah.
But then you got sometimes where we don't get none at all. It just kind
Yeah.
of depends on how the day goes, and sometimes
Yeah.
customers are like, hey, they see that we do our work, and they're like, oh, they
Yeah.
like
You
us, so
worked
they
hard.
tip us. Yeah.
Are you guys doing? Are both? This is for both of you guys. Are you guys doing a lot of credit card transactions?
I do a lot of credit card transactions, but you got to understand when your credit card reader is not working and you got to type it in manually, you get charged 3% from the financial company. Then just a tap or swipe. So if you got to do it manually, you're getting charged from Clover 3%. Then you're getting charged from your bank too for the transaction. Then if it's just a tap or a swipe that went through crispy clean.
Gotcha.
But people ask me all the time, do you take all forms of payment? I say, of course, I'm that professional company. You know what I mean? I'll take a check, but you got to live there. Like, I learned from Matt. I'm not taking a check if you're moving away.
Yeah.
I'm not. That's just what I'm not doing.
100%.
So, and this is game for you, Paul, because you're gonna learn all this. You're gonna go through this, and you're gonna see what your high and low points until you're ready to do that. You know what I mean? You're off the truck and you can trust somebody, and But I believe if you want to scale, manager, supervisor, because you always got to have that guy who's on the crew. Always got to have that guy who's on the crew. They may not like the supervisor, but he's there for a reason.
Well, I need to hear somebody say this, bro. I need to see
I
somebody
know.
running this business, and I need to see what I need to see, bro. The belief that it makes sense, because I got to be honest. I'm not mentioning no names or anything, but the guys that I see that are 5, 6 trucks, bro, I swear I think that they're equal to the guys that are making 2 to 3 trucks, and I just haven't seen a big enough difference in anything to make me believe there is something different other than people's egos. And I'm not an ego guy. I'm one of those guys that's trying to figure out what's the maximum, what makes the most sense, what's going to be able to make me free and put like the least amount. In 5 years from now, if I'm going junk removal, what does it make sense? Is it 10 trucks? Is it only 3 trucks? Because anything over 3 trucks, it doesn't make sense. Because I'm planning on taking this as a launch pad, man. And, I got a bunch of different businesses. I just want to keep building the empire. I want to keep adding to it, man. So I'm cool to go and if I feel it's 3 trucks is the key and that's the maximum I'm going to get, boom, let's set that up and let's get that running and then let's start building another business, But hey, if you guys show me somebody that's doing 10 trucks and they're living a very nice lifestyle and they're not married to the business for life, that's where I don't care how much money you make from a business. If you're married to it for life and you can't enjoy it and you're not free, it's not worth it. That's dead ass. It's just not worth it to me, bro.
Yeah, no doubt. If you can't take a vacation when you want and take a day off when you want, then it's a problem.
If you can't get up and leave for a month and not tell anybody and then come back and it's still there, then you're not doing what I'm talking about, bro. And I live it, bro. I'm not bullshitting you. You guys,
I don't think,
everybody that
Paul, I
knows
don't think
me,
we're gonna find that. I don't think we're gonna find that because me and Julio are from the side where we do this. You're doing it too, but we're a little bit more experienced in it, and it's hard to not think about it and not be worried about it and not try not to get that phone ring, and then especially to take a month off.
But think of this now: 10 trucks are running, and you're doing all this shit. But then to find out at the end of the day, you're only making $250,000.
Yeah,
You're keeping in your
slap in the
pocket. That
face.
doesn't make sense to me. That
Yeah.
it just makes no sense. That's dopey, man. That ain't
Might not find that answer. We'll keep on looking.